Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupāda. A good friend devotee of mine has shared this video of Bhakti-Vikas Swami entitled Guru Issues, Part 14, The Great Ritvik Hoax. It was streamed live on February 26, 2022. We shall take a look at this video, and I thought why not watch it while at the same time trying to give the opposite view in accordance with Srila Prabhupāda's books. So of course, Bhakti-Vikas Swami is a Maharaj, he's a sannyasi, much more senior than I am. In this regard, we respect him, so we do not want to be committing offenses against him. And this is why everything that will be presented in this video would be from Srila Prabhupāda's books and teachings. Before we start watching the video, there's a very important verse. So this is Adi Lila, chapter 2, text 117. A sincere student should not neglect the discussion of such conclusions, considering them controversial, for such discussions strengthen the mind. Thus one's mind becomes attached to Sri Krishna. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada states, here, one should be particularly careful to understand the truth about Krishna. If because of laziness one does not come to know Krishna conclusively, one will be misguided about the cult of devotion. We should not be lazy when we are faced with such seemingly opposite elements in the philosophy. We should study with a cool mind, without wanting to achieve a conclusion in itself, but by studying with a very large vision, a broad vision. We should take a step back from our position and understand that to err is human and we might be wrong. Let us now start watching this video.
It might sound as if it's plausible, but it's not.
Okay, so here, of course, the title itself, so the Ritvik Theory, and then a speculative assault on the timeless Vedic wisdom. So we can understand the stand already. So they take the Ritvik system of initiation as a theory only. First of all, the Ritvik system of initiation in itself, that should be more specified. This is why us in ISKM we have released a very important book, which is called the IA-77, so Initiation after 1977. So the Ritvik system was already there when Srila Prabhupada was present, because with the July 9th letter, Srila Prabhupada has completely given the authority to the 11 Ritvik representatives of the Acharya, the Ritviks, to give the name even. So Prabhupada had absolutely nothing to do directly.
The Ritvik theory claims that the disciplic succession should have ended with Srila Prabhupada, that none of Srila Prabhupada's disciples should have become initiating gurus.
Okay, now this is not true at all. First we must understand, okay, what is a disciplic succession? So here's a definition of guru paramparā, or disciplic succession, from the Mahā-bhāgavata. So transcendental knowledge which is received through the system of paramparā, beginning with Brahma, the creator, and which is embodied in the Shruti, is known as Amnaya, or the authorized sacred tradition. So you see here that transcendental knowledge which is received. So to receive transcendental knowledge is what constitutes disciplic succession. Okay. Now through the paramparā, that means that there should be only one conclusion, one sastric conclusion, and not receiving knowledge from what is outside the paramparā system, so from an apasampradaya or from mental speculation. Here in the letter, Srila Prabhupada says, I also thank you very much for your appreciation of my books and letters and for my speaking in the meetings. They are not my words, as I have repeatedly informed you that I am simply the bearer of the message from Lord Chaitanya through the disciplic succession, and I do not make any addition of subtraction. Similarly, if you all carry these words successively, then the transcendental paramparā system will be exactly maintained and people in general will be benefited. So if there are still sincere disciples of Srila Prabhupada that present the knowledge in its pure form, then the paramparā is maintained. So paramparā is this transfer of pure knowledge, not adulterated. So this can also be done by devotees who do not necessarily act as dīkṣā-gurus. Okay, let us see this letter here. It's a letter to Kirtanananda, Los Angeles, 25th January 1969. So here it is said that another point is that disciplic succession does not mean one has to be directly a disciple of a particular person. So it's not that if I'm not a disciple of that person, I don't belong to the disciplic succession. It's whether we are accepting the disciplic conclusion. The conclusion which we have tried to explain in our Bhagavad Gita as it is the same as those conclusions of Arjuna. Arjuna accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and we also accept the same truth under the disciplic succession of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Things equal to the same thing are equal to one another. This is an axiomatic truth. So there is no difference of opinion of understanding Krishna between ourselves and Arjuna. Another example is that a tree has many branches, and you will find one leaf here and another leaf there. But if you take this leaf and the other leaf and you press them both, you will see that the taste is the same. The taste is the conclusion. And from the taste you can understand that both leaves are from the same tree. So this example of Srila Prabhupada is very nice, because it is not that we have to trace the actual branch, Does that leaf belong to this branch exactly? No, that leaf is far away. Why? All these leaves are here in this branch, but this leaf does not belong to that one. Therefore, it is not in the disciplic succession. No, it is from the taste. So, is the taste the same? Is the understanding of that devotee the same understanding of this devotee? Yes. Well, no matter how they came, they are part of the disciplic succession, because they have been transferred the original transcendental knowledge, which cannot be altered. Disciplic succession does not always mean that one has to be initiated officially. Disciplic succession means to accept the disciplic conclusion. I do not know why Bhakti-Vikas Swami is saying that we claim to be wanting to stop the disciplic succession. Basically, his definition of disciplic succession from that statement appears to be that there has to be a physically present dīkṣā-guru. And that is the meaning of disciplic succession. So it is a conception of bodily proximity.
Evam paramparā praptam. Paramparā means one after another.
Even if we have physically present dīkṣā-guru, if the dīkṣā-gurus are actually changing that disciplic conclusion, then one is not part of the disciplic succession. Chain is broken when there are false spiritual masters. Otherwise, it is not broken. Chain is broken if a so-called spiritual master speaks something manufactured. Then the chain is broken. Otherwise, chain is not broken. So the chain is always there, except when someone interprets and changes. You see? So because one changes the essence, which is all the juice that comes from the tree and nourishes all the leaves, if one actually disconnects himself from this essence, then the leaf might still appear to be a leaf. It might still be green for some time also. But it will very soon dry, because actually it is disconnected from the tree. Prabhupada says, so we are trying to revive this paramparā system. And fortunately, we have sold 1 million copies of this edition of Bhagavad Gita. So you see, what is this Bhagavad Gita? It is knowledge, this transcendental knowledge from Krishna and Prabhupada. And Prabhupada is saying we are reviving the paramparā by distributing this knowledge. So again, the stress is on transfer of transcendental knowledge.
Of course, there are different versions of the Ritvik theory. There's hard Ritvik, soft Ritvik, and all kinds of things.
Okay, so here Bhakti-Vikas Swami is speaking about soft Ritviks and hard Ritviks. So those are still terms that have been coined by devotees in ISKCON. This is something a bit sad, in the sense that the Ritvik system of initiation is being demonized, although Srila Prabhupada clearly gave instructions on that, and he even answered straightforward question.
Then our next question concerns initiations in the future, particularly at that time when you're no longer with us. We want to know how a first and second initiation would be conducted.
Yes, I can recommend some of you. After this is settled up, I shall recommend some of you to act as officiating acharya.
Is that called Ritvik Theory?
Ritvik, yeah.
So even though that very question is so well formulated and Prabhupada has an answer straightforward, still they demonize Ritvik in ISKCON. let's say that the GBC in ISKCON and the 2/3 voting system to elect gurus is correct, then you should be trying to help us. You should be trying to defeat our deviant philosophy in an open manner so that everybody sees that we're defeated. Because actually, if you are correct and you are empowered by Srila Prabhupada, then there would be no difficulty for you to defeat all of the devotees who follow the Ritvik system. It would be easy peasy. Just like Srila Prabhupada has defeated everybody else, he was never defeated. So if you're empowered by Srila Prabhupada, similarly you can also defeat everyone. So you should try to help us if we're actually deviants.
This is a practice without precedent in Vedic tradition. Well, that should sound alarm bells, shouldn't it?
Well, we have seen from Srila Prabhupada's previous quotes that we have shown concerning the paramparā that it is impossible to speak of all the different branches of the paramparā. Prabhupada just gave a few names in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita to let us know, the prominent acharyas in our specific branch of the disciplic succession. But just think about this. You see, Narada Muni has been existing since the beginning of this creation. So how many disciples has he made? So how many of these disciples have themselves become dīkṣā-guru and started to initiate? So to say that this is without precedent, you must be aware of absolutely all the different spiritual masters in the creation. So to say that it is without precedence is not very sound. And even if it is without precedence, this is not how we have to judge. How we have to judge this topic is very easy. Did Prabhupada wanted this system to continue after his physical departure? That's all. If Prabhupada authorized it, it is according to Vedic tradition.
Rather, the Vedic tradition is to accept a physically present spiritual master. This is a cornerstone of Vedic principles. It's just what's been done since time immemorial.
So here the argument is that we do not accept a physical guru. That is wrong. This is exactly why Srila Prabhupada appointed Ritvik representative of the Acharya or officiating Acharyas, so that a physical guru be there. Now, there are many devotees who claim to be accepting the Ritvik system of initiation, but that miss this very, very important point. Now, of course, initiation, this we have to understand first of all also, because here Bhakti-Vikas Swami is saying that there has to be a physically present guru to give you initiation. Okay, yes, Ritvik system is following this. The representative of the Acharya is physically present here, and he's giving initiation on behalf of Prabhupada. Now, what is that initiation? This is the main thing that is being misunderstood. So this is found in Madhya Lila, chapter 15, text 108, and it is from Śrīla Jiva Goswami's Bhakti Sandarbha, Anuchcheda 283. So, dīkṣā is the process by which one can awaken his transcendental knowledge and vanquish all reactions caused by sinful activity. A person expert in the study of the revealed scriptures knows this process as dīkṣā. It has to be the transcendental knowledge which is within the heart of the pure devotee being transferred to the disciple. So therefore, initiation is a process. It is the transfer of transcendental knowledge. That is initiation. So when we speak of process, there must be a beginning, there must be some steps, and there must be an end. And if one is not capable of giving the entire process, one cannot be said to be actually giving initiation. A beginning of initiation is actually when one starts to hear from the pure devotee. Just like Srila Prabhupada, it all started when he started to hear from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He ordered Prabhupada that you are a young and educated man, why don't you go and preach this message in English to the West? So the link was there. Well, later on there was also formal initiation. But then it doesn't end there. The real essence of initiation is this transfer of transcendental knowledge, but there's also the formal side of it. This formality is also important. And here it is described, even though born in a Brahmana family, one cannot engage in Vedic rituals without being initiated and having a sacred thread. Although born in a Brahmana family, one becomes a Brahmana after initiation and the sacred thread ceremony. Unless one is initiated as a Brahmana, he cannot worship the holy name properly. And again, it is said here, this is from the Hari Bhakti Vilas, and this is here, Prabhupada says, the Vaishnava regulative principles. Okay, so these are the, unless one is initiated by a bona fide spiritual master, all his devotional activities are useless. A person who is not properly initiated can descend again into the animal species. Formally surrendering to the spiritual master, taking the vows in front of the sacred fire, in front of the spiritual master, the Lord in his Archa Vigraha form, the devotees, that is like a binding spiritual contract between the disciple and the spiritual master. That is saying, my dear spiritual master, now I am formally surrendering to you. I'm signing this contract that my part is to follow the 4 regulative principles, chanting 16 rounds, and follow your instructions in this way. And the spiritual master from that day onward takes away the sins of the disciple and takes charge to bring him back home, back to Godhead. The spiritual master can be compared to the lower kindling stick, the disciple to the upper kindling stick, and the instruction given by the guru to the 3rd stick placed in between. So we have 1 stick above, 1 stick below, and a stick in between. The transcendental knowledge communicated from guru to disciple is compared to the fire arising from the contact of these, which burns the darkness of ignorance to ashes, bringing great happiness both to guru and disciple. So you can see that there is no physical contact between the upper stick and the lower stick. The actual contact is made by the transfer of transcendental knowledge. So this is where the touch is. And this is how we have to associate with saintly persons. One has to associate with liberated persons not directly, physically, but by understanding through philosophy and logic. When we listen to the class, we hear from Prabhupada, we open his books, his purport, we hear from Prabhupada, we watch his classes or his video, everything. In fact, now, with modern day technology, one can associate with Prabhupada more than any other physically present person. Because let's say I am initiated by a physically present dīkṣā-guru in ISKCON, how often can I see him physically? And what is the difference that he is there, let's say in another country, and he's recording a class and I'm watching on my phone? What is the difference between this and watching the class of Prabhupada on the phone? Initiation means the transfer of transcendental knowledge. So that is beyond time and space. It doesn't matter. Even when Prabhupada was physically here, there were so many disciples who almost never saw Prabhupada. Some of them saw him maybe once, and that's all. So the initiation ceremony was being taken care of by the temple president, and so he was being initiated without even having seen his spiritual master face to face. And that is also, try to find an example in our Vedic tradition of this. The disciples were there, always listening from Prabhupada, because they had Prabhupada's book. So although Prabhupada was touring and preaching all over the world, a disciple might have been in a small country where Prabhupada would hardly go, but he would be listening to his spiritual master daily. And in this way he developed his relationship with Prabhupada, because Vani and Vapu are non-different from one another. And in fact, Vani is more important, because Vani is still here, where Vapu is gone already. Now we said that initiation is a process. And what is the end of that process? As we have said, if one cannot complete the process, he cannot actually give initiation. You see, just like if I say, I have to give you, I have to bring you to another planet. Okay, so I might say, well, look, get in my car. That's all right, that's part of the process. I will be driving you maybe 10 miles where you can take a spaceship and go. But if I can only drive the car and I cannot bring you in the spaceship and bring you to another planet, then I cannot complete the process. If the goal is to go from one planet to another, which is, we have to leave this material world and go to Goloka Vrindavan, if I do not have the power to bring you there, then the process of initiation cannot be completed. And actually, the qualification of going back to Krishna is that one has to attain pure devotional service. And unless one is a pure devotee who is situated on the highest platform of prema bhakti, he cannot give prema. If I'm situated in the middle way, even if I'm on the Nishtha platform or even Bhava platform, I cannot give you prema because I do not have it. And this is how Prabhupada describes the initiation of Devaki by her husband Vasudeva. So this is Canto 10, Chapter 2, Text 18. So it is said, thereafter, accompanied by the plenary expansions, the fully opulent Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is all auspicious for the entire universe, was transferred from the mind of Vasudeva to the mind of Devaki. Devaki, having thus been initiated by Vasudeva, became beautiful by carrying Lord Krishna, the original consciousness for everyone, the cause of all causes, within the core of her heart, just as the east becomes beautiful by carrying the rising moon. As indicated here by the word manasta, the Supreme Personality of Godhead was transferred from the core of Vasudeva's mind or heart to the core of the heart of Devaki. We should note carefully that the Lord was transferred to Devaki not by the ordinary way for a human being, but by dīkṣā, initiation. Thus the importance of initiation is mentioned here. Unless one is initiated by the right person who always carries within his heart the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one cannot acquire the power to carry the Supreme Personality of Godhead within the core of one's own heart. There it is said. What is dīkṣā? The end of dīkṣā is when one will be carrying Krishna within his heart. So this is the song of Bhaktivinoda Thakur called Ohe Vaishnava Thakur. So in the 4th paragraph, it is said here, Krishna se tomara, Krishna dite paro, tomara shakatiyache. So what is the translation? Krishna is yours. You have the power to give him to me. I'm simply your servant running behind you shouting Krishna, Krishna. So the pure devotee has got Krishna. It is his possession, and he can give him to his disciple. And that is the end of the dīkṣā process.
One thing which I might not get into in this series of talks about guru issues is the meaning of the word initiation, because it's used very broadly within ISKCON to cover all kinds of things. It's quite a complex topic.
Here Bhakti-Vikas Swami doesn't want to get too much into detail about dīkṣā. It is already very clear. It's the transfer of transcendental knowledge. It starts when one starts to hear from the spiritual master, and the end of it is when one attains prema bhakti. So that is the whole process of initiation. Now, Maharaj should be speaking about this, because that is, after all, if you're going to be using the word so much in your presentation, then people have to be understanding what it is. And we do accept that there has to be a physically present spiritual master. That is recognized. Prabhupada always say, why do we open so many temples? It's just to give the chance for people to associate with devotees. And why did he set up a temple president? And then GBC, you see, there are some authorities there. He was training his disciple to act as śikṣā-gurus. So the śikṣā-guru is the via medium between the Mahā-bhāgavata and the neophyte devotee. And the śikṣā-guru also should be respected, because he's a representative of the pure devotee. So here we have, Tirtharaj Das, so Shri Guru Tattva and the Secret of dīkṣā by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So Rajan Babu is asking, isn't the Kanishta-adhikārī qualified to give initiation into the mantra? Srila Saraswati Prabhupada. Where is the Kanishta-adhikārī coming from? Who gave him adhikar? The Kanishta-adhikārī can never become guru. So the adhikar, the authorization, the qualification is not there with the Kanishta-adhikārī, because nobody gave him authorization. No pure devotee can give a Kanishta-adhikārī the authorization to initiate, because he's not qualified. So he clearly says that a Kanishta-adhikārī can never become guru. And then Rajan Babu, can a Madhyama-adhikārī give dīkṣā? And Srila Saraswati Prabhupada, he can only perform the initial duties of dīkṣā. It is the Uttama-adhikārī, Mahā-bhāgavata Vaishnava, who is actually the dīkṣā guru. So you see. So why the Madhyama-adhikārī can perform the initial duties of dīkṣā? We have seen dīkṣā is a process by which the transcendental knowledge is transferred. Therefore the Madhyama-adhikārī, as the via medium between the Uttama and the Kanishta, he is the right-hand man, and he's the expansion of the Uttama-adhikārī, saying that you do like this, you do like that, you don't eat outside, you don't watch movie, you be serious, you wake up early in the morning, you chant your rounds, and he shows by example. He's doing all these things already, not that he's just saying. And in this way, he is an expansion of the pure devotee. But he is not on the level of a pure devotee. He doesn't have the realization that Krishna is within the heart of all living entities and that Krishna is all pervading. He doesn't have the pure love of God. He's not situated on the prema platform. But that would be a matter of time.
All four Vaishnava Sampradayas teach and practice the tradition of accepting initiation in an ongoing disciplic line. This hardly needs to be said, it would be thought, but surprisingly, some people have another idea.
Okay, so Bhakti-Vikas Swami is accusing us that in the four paramparā system, never there was this sort of Ritvik initiation. Okay, now has any of the paramparā system formed a group of people that are conditioned souls that will be voting in Mahā-bhāgavata? Is Narada Muni been elected by a 2/3 vote system? Has Ramanujacharya been elected by 2/3 vote? Madhvacharya, Vishnu Swami, Nimbarkacharya? You are saying that we are introducing something when at least we have the authorization by the pure devotee, which is here. All right, we cannot show any other example of this exact system in the paramparā system. That's a fact. But you also cannot show what you have here. And plus, you cannot even show that Prabhupada has ordered that. There's no place where Prabhupada said, yes, I would like you to form a GBC and elect the next guru by a 2/3 vote system. In fact, we find the exact opposite. In the later days of my Guru Maharaj, he was very disgusted. Actually, he left this world earlier. Otherwise, he would have continued to live for more years. Still, he requested his disciples to form a strong governing body for preaching the cult of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He never recommended anyone to be Acharya of the Gaudiya Math. So this is exactly the same thing that Prabhupada has made a GBC, and he never said that you are the next Acharya. But Sridhar Maharaj is responsible for disobeying this order of Guru Maharaj, and he and others who are already dead unnecessarily thought that there must be one Acharya. So similarly, you see, unnecessarily taught. So this was an artificial way of thinking that, oh, there has to be somebody else here physically present now in order to continue the paramparā system. That was the mindset of Sridhar Maharaj and others. But Prabhupada says that this was unnecessary. If Guru Maharaj could have seen someone who was qualified at that time to be Acharya, he would have mentioned. So similarly, if Prabhupada would have seen someone that was qualified, he would have spoken out. He would have said it, that now you're qualified, you become Acharya, you initiate. Because on the night before he passed away, he talked of so many things, but never mentioned an Acharya. His idea was talked of so many things, but never mentioned an Acharya. His idea was Acharya was not to be nominated amongst the governing body. I'll repeat that. His idea was Acharya was not to be nominated amongst the governing body. So Prabhupada is saying that Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur did not want this system. So we can understand that Prabhupada also did not want this system. He never authorized that system. Where is it said in Srila Prabhupada's instructions that the GBC should carry on 2/3 vote to see who can become a dīkṣā-guru in ISKCON? That is not found. That is the meaning of speculation. When one cannot find any instruction of the pure devotee related to one's ongoing activities, one can understand that he is situated in speculation.
One reason why guru issues are difficult to come to grips with, because Vedic tradition is very broad, and there are various schools within that. Therefore, we have to follow a guru.
So yes, Vedic traditions, Vedic scriptures are very voluminous. There's no doubt about this. And therefore, we have to accept a guru. That's a fact. And this is why we should not speculate by studying Vedas or analyzing the Vedic tradition without referring to the spiritual masters. Let me analyze Vedic tradition. I do not find a Ritvik system here. So how could Prabhupada do like this? No, that is not like that. We take the Acharya because we cannot understand the Vedic conclusion. Now, how the system has to be conducted in the present age, at the present moment. The Acharya is a representative of Krishna and is fully empowered to do this. 10.2.31. So here, O Lord who resemble the shining sun, you are always ready to fulfill the desire of your devotee, and therefore you are known as the desire tree, Vancha Kalpataru. When Acharyas completely take shelter under your lotus feet in order to cross the fierce ocean of nescience, or nescience, they leave behind on earth the method by which they cross. And because you are very merciful to your other devotees, you accept this method to help them. We should not try to double check Prabhupada with śastra. We should try to understand śastra through Prabhupada.
Here we have it, from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, text 34. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him, submissively, and render service unto him. The self-realized souls can impart knowledge unto you because they have seen the truth. The word, therefore, they have seen the truth means tattva-darśī. And our Ritvik Theory proponents would say there is no tattva-darśī left in the world. So we have to take initiation from Srila Prabhupada.
His Holiness Bhakti-Vikas Swami has missed out is to give the definition of tattva-darśī. So this is from Srimad Bhagavatam 5.15.4 in the purport. A real preacher cannot be bogus. He must first of all realize Lord Vishnu as he is, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 4.34. Upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva-darśīnah. So this is the verse quoted by Maharaj, and here Prabhupada says, one who has seen the truth can impart knowledge. The word tattva-darśī refers to one who has perfectly realized the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Perfectly realized. Such a person can become guru and propound Vaishnava philosophy all over the world. And that is Mahā-bhāgavata. And fully realized means he's seeing Krishna everywhere. He's always in touch with Krishna. He's not touching this material world. The Uttama-adhikārī, he will be preaching. He will be showing according to śastra. But he does not realize everything that is in śastra. Ultimately, the realization of what all of this is belongs only to the Uttama-adhikārī. Because only Prabhupada really knows what Krishna consciousness is.
One who is now the disciple is the next spiritual master.
Now again, that is very vague. That is just one sentence out of a very important purport that we will go see actually. The definition of disciple has not been given. So this is the purport, 2943 purport. As Brahmaji received the knowledge directly from the Lord by satisfying him fully, similarly one has to receive transcendental knowledge from the spiritual master by satisfying him. The spiritual master's satisfaction is the means of assimilating transcendental knowledge. So if one can satisfy Prabhupada, which is very much possible, even though he's not physically here, he will be receiving this transcendental knowledge, which is the very fundamental definition of dīkṣā, initiation. Only unto one who has unflinching devotion to the Lord and to the spiritual master does transcendental knowledge become automatically revealed. Such relationship between the disciple and the spiritual master is eternal. I personally know someone who has taken initiation 3 times. In his home. So when he took his first initiation, he was chanting, yes, my dear spiritual master, Janme Janme Prabhu se, you are my spiritual master life after life. When he fell down, okay, you are my spiritual master life after life. When that second fell down, okay, no, you are my spiritual master life after life. This is like the modern day marriage. It is prostitution. Plus acceptance of more than one dīkṣā-guru is not authorized by śastra. One who is now the disciple is the next spiritual master. And one cannot be a bona fide authorized spiritual master unless one has been strictly obedient to his spiritual master. So if the spiritual master has not authorized me to become guru, but still I take the authorization from a 2/3 vote, which my spiritual master was clearly against because it happened to his spiritual master, then how can I say to be obedient? And then here, Brahmaji as a disciple of the Supreme Lord received the real knowledge. Again, the stress is on receiving knowledge. And imparted it to his dear disciple Narada. And similarly, Narada, as spiritual master, handed over this knowledge to Vyasa and so on. So this handing of knowledge constitutes disciplic succession. We are not an independent source of transcendental knowledge. We are dependent. We act as a via medium, as Mahā-bhāgavata śikṣā-guru. The Uttama-adhikārī is the independent point in the sense that he has Krishna, he can give, he's fully independent. We are not. We have to link ourselves. In this way we can act as branches. You see, as a branch to the paramparā system. But the dīkṣā must come from the pure devotee. Therefore, the so-called formal spiritual master and disciple are not facsimiles of Brahma and Narada or Narada and Vyas. What is Prabhupada saying here? The formality, those who stress formality. Body here, body there, I do fire sacrifice. Body here, body there, I give a fire sacrifice. Body here, body there. They stress on this formal way of receiving initiation instead of stressing of the transfer of transcendental knowledge that Prabhupada is explaining over and over again in all his books. The relationship between Brahma and Narada is reality, while the so-called formality is the relation between the cheater and the cheated. If I stress only on formality, that you have to have a physical guru, but I do not speak about the quality of that guru, I do not speak about what real initiation is constituted of, that it is a transfer of transcendental knowledge and to realize Krishna, and I do not speak what is a bona fide disciple, then it is all simply a show. We're trying to separate truth from substance. As soon as you take the truth out of substance and you want to keep holding it as truth, that is cheating. It is clearly mentioned here that Narada is not only well-behaved, meek and obedient, but also self-controlled. One who is not self-controlled, specifically in sex life, can become neither a disciple nor a spiritual master. One must have disciplinary training in controlling speaking, anger, the tongue, the mind, the belly, and the genitals. One who has controlled the particular senses mentioned above is called a Goswami. Without becoming a Goswami, one can become neither a disciple nor a spiritual master. The so-called spiritual master without sense control is certainly the cheater, and the disciple of such a so-called spiritual master is the cheated. You see how high the standard of being a disciple is. One has to be a Goswami. And Prabhupada here is saying controlling the speaking, anger, tongue, mind, belly, genital. That is the first verse of the nectar of instruction, Vacho Vegam, Krodha Vegam. And it is said that, yes, if you control all these things, then you are qualified to make devotees all over the world. So it is out of qualification. So the desire that Prabhupada had for his disciples to become spiritual master, that is not at all challenged. We fully agree with that. But if you don't raise yourself to that standard, it's not Srila Prabhupada's fault. It is your fault. And this is what happened. In 1977, when Srila Prabhupada departed, the July 9th letter was there. Prabhupada had given the list of 11 Ritviks. They would act as representative of the Acharya to give Ritvik initiation. That was going on. When Srila Prabhupada departed, there was some speculation. They were not sure of what they had to do, because they did not automatically say that now we are 11 gurus. No, there was some speculation. Nor in the July 9th letter is it written anywhere that Prabhupada authorized them to automatically become guru after his physical departure. So what they have done is that they have approached Sridhar Maharaj concerning this. Now we have seen earlier that quote that Prabhupada speaks that Sridhar Maharaj was responsible for disobeying Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur concerning initiation after his physical departure. So concerning initiation after the physical departure of Srila Prabhupada, his disciples go and ask Sridhar Maharaj. Is it the proper person to ask? After asking him, he has said that no, you all become gurus, the 11 of you.
Child is the father of man. Who is the child now is expected to be a father or a mother in future. That's just the way the world goes.
So there's a nice verse that we know in comparison to this, that Guru Nasasyat, one who cannot deliver his dependents from the path of repeated birth and death should never become a spiritual master, a father, a husband, a mother, or a worshipable demigod. So yes, it's the way the world goes. We beget children, they become father and mother. But Shastra says, first of all, according to that example, that they should not even become father and mother if they cannot deliver their children from the path of repeated birth and death. So similarly, there's restriction for normal procreation, and there's restriction also with the actual topic that is under discussion now, which is the spiritual master accepting disciple. If the spiritual master cannot deliver his disciple from the path of repeated birth and death, he should not become a spiritual master. So again, we speak of quality. It is not just the natural way of things. You see, how many disciples did Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Sarasvati Thakur initiate? Is it that as soon as he departed, all of them had to become gurus? That mentality has been rejected by Srila Prabhupada.
After you, is there any decision being made who will take over? Srila Prabhupada replied, yes, all of them will take over. these students who are initiated from me, all of them will act as I am doing, just like I've got many God brothers. They are all acting, and you can see a photograph of Srila Prabhupada with some of his God brothers here. They are all acting. Similarly, all these disciples which I am making, initiating, they are being trained to become future spiritual masters. Whoever is initiated, he is competent to make disciples, but as a matter of etiquette, they do not do so in the presence of their spiritual master. This is the etiquette. Otherwise, they are competent. They can make disciples and spread.
Yes, so there's no doubt about that Srila Prabhupada wanted his disciples to become future dīkṣā-gurus. That is admitted, that is a fact. But Prabhupada here says that they are being trained. So that means that there's a training ongoing. Now the question is, has the training been completed? This conversation is in 1971. So let us look at a further conversation. So this is a room conversation, 1977, April 22nd, so 6 years later. Well, I have studied myself and all of your disciples, and it's clear fact that we are all conditioned souls, so we cannot become guru. Maybe one day it may be possible. So here Tamal Krishna Swami is accepting that because they're conditioned souls, they cannot be guru. Therefore he understands that the qualification of a guru is that he has to be a liberated soul. Prabhupada says, but not now. Prabhupada said, yes, I shall choose some guru. This is in the future tense. That means he has not chosen yet. I shall say, now you become acharya, you become authorized. I'm waiting for that. You become all acharya, I retire completely. But the training must be complete. Here again, training. That means the training has not been completed even by the time of 1977. And Prabhupada is saying, I shall say, now you become acharya, you become authorized. So now all we need to do is that from April 22nd all the way to November 14, 1977, we have to see, has Srila Prabhupada made this statement that now you become acharya, you become authorized. Prabhupada says he's waiting for this. But there's no such statement. The argument that they give is that Prabhupada is not potent enough to make one pure devotee. This argument very often we hear. Now, this argument is wrong on two fronts. Firstly, if one does not become a pure devotee, it is not his spiritual master's fault. It's not that my spiritual master is not potent enough, therefore I cannot become a pure devotee. That is very childlike nature to speak like this. Just like a child that it's my father's fault that I'm a rascal. You see, no, you're a rascal because you're not following the instructions of your father. A teacher can give you hints. The acharya can give you hints that you can be saved in this way. But the execution of the duties, that is in your hand. If you perform the spiritual duties rightly, then you are saved. Otherwise, even acharya gives you instruction. If you don't follow, so how he can save you? He can save you by instruction, by his mercy as much as possible. But you have to take it in your hands seriously. This is very clear. It's up to us. It is the duty of the śikṣā-guru or dīkṣā-guru to instruct the disciple in the right way. And it depends on the disciple to execute the process. According to shastric injunctions, there is no difference between śikṣā-guru and dīkṣā-guru, and generally the śikṣā-guru later on becomes the dīkṣā-guru. So they always stress that guru must be present, must be physical guru. Yes, but why are you kicking out the śikṣā-guru as if he's not guru? So the link, the physical link, yes, it must be there, because it's stressed everywhere in Prabhupada books. Devotee association. Devotee association means I'm taking guidance from a senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada, from an elder god brother, from a śikṣā-guru. Okay, so this is from Amrita Vani from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. A math surcharged with talk of Krishna's glories and service is none different from Vaikuntha. Thus, living in a math is just like living in a dham. Harikatha must be prominent in the math. There is no use in building a math simply to facilitate eating and sleeping. Matas should be built only to spread Harikatha. This will benefit us and others. Devotees who are fully dedicated to their spiritual master are the living souls, the living source. And we are to hear from such living sources so that we too can become dedicated devotees. People devoid and bereft of service to the spiritual master are dead even as they breathe. Do not associate with such non-devotees if you do not want to harm your spiritual progress. So here it is said that the living source we also accept. But of course, that is, all these very offensive words that are used to say posthumous Ritvik Theory. Posthumous is a degraded word full of ignorance, saying that someone is dead and gone and never coming back, and they use this word to describe Srila Prabhupada. That is very mean, it is very degraded. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati says that the living source and the devotee who is physically there is the one who's fully dedicated to his spiritual master. In other words, yes, you must approach physical guru. That is a fact. And that is śikṣā-guru with the Ritvik system of initiation.
Every student is expected to become an acharya. Acharya means one who knows the scriptural injunctions and follows them practically in life and teaches them to his disciples. This is Srila Prabhupāda's paraphrasing of a verse from Shastra which he's quoted several times and which I've quoted several times in this series of talks. Keep trained up very rigidly and then you are a bona fide guru and you can accept disciples on the same principle. I want to see my disciples become bona fide spiritual masters and spread Krishna consciousness very widely. That will make me and Krishna very happy.
A desire of the spiritual master doesn't equal his order. Just like a father. The father's desire, the father flies airplane, and he wants his son to fly airplane. I want you to become a pilot. I want you to become a pilot. That is the desire. It is not that now you go and fly a plane, because the child is not ready yet. If he does so, he will endanger his life and the life of the passengers. If he crashes, he's dead and everybody else. Therefore, he will never give the order to the unready child to go and fly planes. The training has to be completed. That is simple logic. Prabhupada says, so far designation is concerned, the spiritual master authorizes every one of his disciples, but it is up to the disciple to carry out the order, able to carry out or not. It is not that spiritual master is partial. He designates one and rejects other. He may do that if the other is not qualified. This is an important point. Prabhupada's mercy is equally distributed. Now, if he rejects someone and says that person is qualified, that person is not, that is not that he's partial, it's because the other is not qualified. He can do that, but actually his intention is not like that. He wants that each and every one of his disciples become as powerful as he is or more than that. That is his desire. Just like father wants every son to be as qualified or more qualified than the father. But it is up to the student or to the son to raise himself to that standard. So this is the first flaw by saying that Prabhupada cannot create a pure devotee. You're saying, oh, Prabhupada cannot create a pure devotee. That means you're minimizing Prabhupada's potency. That is the first flaw. The second flaw, which is very, very important, is that they actually think that Prabhupada is not preaching anymore. Within his time lapse of preaching, he has not made a pure devotee. Now, that is a material concept, because we learn from Shastra that Vani and Vapu are the same. Krishna and his representative are the same. Similarly, the spiritual master can be present wherever the disciple wants. A spiritual master is the principle, not the body. Just like a television can be seen in thousands of places by the principle of a relay monitoring. So Srila Prabhupada's murti is here in the temple. His books are there. We can hear him. We can read him. We can hear his classes. We can see him. It is better service to Krishna and spiritual master in a feeling of separation. Sometimes there is a risk in the matter of direct service. Familiarity breeds contempt. When you're day in, day out next to the pure devotee, you start to think that, well, he walks like me, he eats like me, So you become an offender. Guru Ravagnya, to consider the spiritual master an ordinary person. So it is better to serve him in the feeling of separation. And that is exactly what the Ritvik system of initiation has introduced. Prabhupada has introduced that mood, that the dīkṣā-guru is not here anymore. So this is a feeling of separation. So this love that, my dear spiritual master, when shall I see you? I have never even seen you yet, physically. When shall I see you? We know that as sincere disciples, once we leave our body, we will see Prabhupada. That will be the reuniting, that will be a wonderful, blissful moment. Meanwhile, let me carry out his instruction and work in this mood of separation. Prabhupada mainly served Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur in this mood. He said it, that he met him less than 10 times. Prabhupada says like that, I have never felt alone. So although a physical body is not present, the vibration should be accepted as the presence of the spiritual master. Vibration, what we have heard from the spiritual master, that is living. So they are saying living guru, living guru, living guru, meaning Prabhupada is a dead guru. That is the thing. You need a living guru. So the opposite statement is Prabhupada is a dead guru, therefore you cannot approach him for knowledge. But here Prabhupada says that what we're hearing from the spiritual master, that is living. When you feel separation from your spiritual master, you just try to remember his words of instruction. You will not feel separation. You will feel that he is with you. So we should associate by vibration and not by the physical presence. That is real association. So Prabhupada is putting it clearly that association means by the instruction. By the instruction of Srila Prabhupada, by his message, by his words, by his letters, by his books, by his classes, everything. We must associate like this. Not by physical presence. And Prabhupada says this is real association. But they are stressing that no, body must be there. So here the concluding words of the CC, concluding words. How much important instruction should be found in the concluding words of the Chaitanya Charitamrita? Prabhupada knows what is to come. So he gives guidance. So yes, I will depart soon. So listen to this. Physical presence is sometimes appreciable and sometimes not. But Vani continues to exist eternally. Therefore, we must take advantage of the Vani, not the physical presence. I think that His Divine Grace Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is always seeing my activities and guiding me within my heart by His words. Spiritual inspiration comes from within the heart, wherein the Supreme Personality of Godhead in His Paramatma feature is always sitting with all His devotees and associates. If there is any credit to my activities of translating, it is all due to His Divine Grace. Certainly, if His Divine Grace were personally present at this time, it would have been a great occasion for jubilation. But even though He's not physically present, I'm confident that He's very pleased by this work of translation. So Prabhupada knows that my spiritual master is pleased with me. And by pleasing him, I'm pleasing Krishna. And here he's saying that the Lord is here with all His eternal associates. So Prabhupada is also within our heart, so He can guide us. So it is not that Prabhupada is no longer here and He cannot communicate with us. He can come. He comes in so many devotees' dreams and He guides them, He gives them direction as to what to do, or He gives inspiration with the Paramatma in the heart. So Vani is the real association, not Vapu.
This is a very important point. Srila Prabhupada was completely consistent in his statements about his vision for the continuation of the disciplic succession after his departure. Very important point.
So yes, it is a fact that Srila Prabhupada was completely consistent in his statements about his vision for the continuation of the disciplic succession after his departure. It is a fact. Let's take a look at this. On the whole, you may know that he is not a liberated person. Therefore, he cannot initiate any person to Krishna consciousness. It requires special spiritual benediction from higher authorities. So if you're not a liberated person, if you're not Brahma Bhuta, pure devotee, you cannot initiate anyone. In the Padma Purana, the characteristic of the Guru, the bona fide spiritual master, have been described. The Guru must be situated on the topmost platform of devotional service. There are 3 classes of devotees, and the Guru must be accepted from the topmost class. When one has attained the topmost position of Mahā-bhāgavata, he is to be accepted as a Guru and worshipped exactly like Hari, the personality of Godhead. Only such a person is eligible to occupy the post of a Guru. Only such a person is eligible to occupy the post of a Guru. So only the Uttama-adhikārī, Mahā-bhāgavata, not Madhyama-adhikārī, not Kanishta-adhikārī. So this is definitely there in all of Srila Prabhupada's instructions. Sometimes they quote like this. They go to Nectar of Instruction, Mantra 5 in the purport, and they say, here Prabhupada says, also can initiate. Let's go take a look. In this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami advises the devotee to be intelligent enough to distinguish between the Kanishta-adhikārī, Madhyama-adhikārī, and Uttama-adhikārī. That is very, very important, because we must accept dīkṣā only from the Uttama-adhikārī. So if you're not intelligent to distinguish, that is your fault. The devotee should also know his own position and should not try to imitate a devotee situated on a higher platform. If I become Guru and I'm not Uttama-adhikārī, I'm imitating. I'm acting as the Mahā-bhāgavata, and that is very bad. Or if I'm a Kanishta-adhikārī and I'm starting to preach, that is also wrong, because the Kanishta-adhikārī should not preach, because he does not know the conclusion of the Shastra. He's imitating the Madhyama-adhikārī. That is wrong. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given some practical hints to the effect that an Uttama-adhikārī Vaishnava can be recognized by his ability to convert many fallen souls to Vaishnavism. Srila Prabhupada has converted so many fallen souls to Vaishnavism, and he's still doing it through his books. That is the potency of a pure devotee. One should not become a spiritual master unless he has attained the platform of Uttama-adhikārī. But they're not showing this consistency. They're trying to push forward another consistency, that the body has to be the disciple automatically becomes spiritual master. Where is this? A neophyte Vaishnava, or a Vaishnava situated on an intermediate platform, can also accept disciples. Alright? But such disciples must be on the same platform, and it should be understood that they cannot advance very well toward the ultimate goal of life under his insufficient guidance. What does that mean? Bluntly put, they don't go back to Godhead. They cannot, because the dīkṣā-guru is here, and the devotee, the disciple, cannot cross over that. They cannot advance. Here is clear, and Prabhupada says, therefore, a disciple should be careful to accept an Uttama-adhikārī as a spiritual master. So here is the instruction for the guru and for the disciple. He says that one should not become a spiritual master unless he has attained the platform of Uttama-adhikārī. That is the order. And then again, therefore, a disciple should be careful to accept an Uttama-adhikārī as a spiritual master. So that's it. You have it. Again, consistency is there. Okay, let's bring more consistency. The answer to your Ishtagoshti questions are as follows. Unless one is a resident of Krishna Loka, one cannot be a spiritual master. That is the first proposition. A layman cannot be a spiritual master, and if he becomes so, then he will simply create disturbance. And here, this is in his offering to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur at the Radha Damodar temple in Vrindavan in 1961. If everyone just initiates, then there will only be contradictory result. As long as it goes on, there will be only failure. He clearly says, as long as everybody initiates, there will be contradictory results. Why would he give a system like that? So it is speculation, 2/3 vote.